So we have some random questions to answer today. So recently I put up a message on Facebook and Instagram asking people to say, hey, fun, silly, random, personal, whatever kind of questions you want to ask me, throw them up there and I'll answer them. And they delivered. They threw out some really interesting stuff. So with this random question style video that I do from time to time, there is a chance for you to win a free t-shirt. So make sure you watch through the video, and then when I open it up to you, make sure you put your sort of feedback into it and get a chance to win something free and at the same time have some fun. So with that said, guys, let's get into these random ass questions. Jack, have I ever not bathed to get the upper hand on someone? I don't think I've ever done this to purposely get the upper hand. I never thought that my stink would sort of give me the edge. But when I was younger, I would not bathe before tournaments or fights or anything. And I wouldn't bathe the day of, and I wouldn't bathe the day before. And this can be bad, especially when you're talking about people cutting weight. Like for instance, before a fight, I wouldn't bathe. And the day before the fight, I'm cutting weight. I'm like in a sauna sweating. So you can get the idea, right? You're gonna smell terrible the day of. I wasn't doing this because I was trying to get like the edge on someone, as if like my body odor was gonna be like the thing that was gonna lead me to victory. It was just one of those things where I was like, well, I'm getting ready to fight this person. Why the hell do I want to smell good for him, you know? My views on this sort of switched in 2007 because I reached my stinkiest. So there was this time, and it was by complete accident, by the way. So what happened was the week before the fight, right? The fight was on a Saturday, right? And then the week before the MMA fight, it was Saturday, and we had a really good drilling pad work session, basically a good sweat. It's in the middle of July, so it's hot, muggy. Obviously, you know, you're from Kentucky, so you know it gets hot and smuggy here. And so in the middle of July, I get a good sweat going. I took my MMA shorts that I planned to wear the next week, and I took them and I tied them into a plastic grocery bag, and I tied it shut. I threw it in the back of my trunk and then just went about my week. So the day of the fight, I get there, I open up the trunk, I see these shorts there, and I'm like, oh no, I forgot all about this. I pull them out and pull untie it, and the stench, like, it just hit me, like, you know, it's so bad. I quickly tied them back up and put another bag around it to tie it up and sort of try to, you know, quell the smell a little bit, keep it in there. We had a big room where all the fighters from my team were at, and I took the bag and I put it in the corner, and I took all my gear, my bags, and my clothes, and I'm like putting it over top to try to like keep that smell down a little bit. It didn't work. As soon as people started walking in, everybody was like, going, what the hell is that smell? It smells terrible. And I was like, oh, this is my shorts. So I had to put my shorts, and we put it on the outside of like a window so that like they could kind of hang outside, and then right before the fight I could pull them in, put them on, and like go out there to the fight. You know, during the fight, I'm not gonna lie, I tried to like press my hips and my shorts into the person a little bit so they get a little smell of that. Again, I don't think that it was gonna do anything, but you know, again, just where I'm fighting another human being, so I don't really like him at that point. Sort of the culmination of this was, at the end of it, you know, go out there after the fight's over. I walked out, and this young guy that was in the military came up, and he was there watching the fight. He said, hey bro, like let me get a picture with you, man, that was awesome. I was like, yeah, sure, man, let's get a picture. You know, arms over his shoulders with him and his friends, and they're all like, they're sitting there just like going, oh my God, man, you smell terrible. And so at that point I was kind of like, I guess maybe, again, I'm not gonna get an edge from it, so maybe it's not necessary to smell so bad that people can't even take a picture with me. So I've gone away from the stinky side. But there's a long-winded answer to your very simple question, Jack. Best advice I've ever gotten. That's really hard, because advice is one of those things where like you have to be receptive for it, you have to be in the right place for it. For instance, if someone tells you something, it may not ring true at that point because you're not ready for it, but then later on maybe something happens and then you're receptive to it, and then you can accept that advice, and it can be very good advice. But there is one sort of piece of advice. It's not even really advice, it's just simply a thing that I read in a book. I thought it was very powerful. The passage went something like, if you're living the life that is true to you, you're living the life that you're supposed to lead, birds are gonna shit on you, don't even bother brushing it off. And so for me, again, like most people, we care about what people think to us to some degree. And again, if you're doing the thing that you're supposed to do, and you're doing something that's true to you, you know, you're not doing it for the wrong reasons, because people do things for the wrong reasons, but you're doing it because it's coming out from inside of you, then people are gonna shit all over you, man. People are gonna say things, they're gonna think things, and when they do, don't even give it any mind, right? Don't even worry about it, because they're gonna do that. Just you keep doing your thing, and like I said, and like the past says, don't even brush it off. Just keep doing your thing. And I always thought that was powerful because of the fact that, again, it's something that a lot of us struggle with. We struggle to sort of step outside of our comfort zone because of, you know, the thought of, what are people gonna say about me? What are they gonna think about me? Let them think whatever the hell they want to think. Let them say whatever they want to say, because it doesn't matter as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, and with the thing that you feel like it's coming from inside of you, not from exterior sources, right, but from here. If you're doing that, then just do what you're gonna do. I don't really like the idea of jiu-jitsu being in the Olympics, because then we'd have to come up with a unified set of rules that we all have to follow, and those are it, right? So for instance, if like the IBJJF, if they became the rule set, then we're all gonna be subjected to their rules, and I don't like that. I like the idea of like IBJJF, you go your way. EBIs, you got your own style. Fight to Win, you got your own style, and whatever other organizations that wanna come up with their own format for tournaments, you do your own thing. Again, that allows, again, the creativity to flow. Also, I don't want someone to have rules that dictate the way that people might practice in their gym. I like the more free-form nature of it, to where you can kind of go about your own way and just figure out what works best for you and your style, and compete in the tournament that works best for your style, because I think that's the way that I personally like to watch it. With this Olympics argument, I don't understand why we care that much. Like, why do I care about some organization that like wanted to get rid of wrestling but wanted to keep a sport like curling, right? Like, is it that we're doing it because we want to have this name associated with it, as if it's like legitimizes our sport? Our sport's legit, right? Our sport's badass. I don't need someone who runs a committee on the Olympics to tell me my sport's badass. Our sport's awesome. To me, I really don't value an organization that values curling over wrestling. Right? Wrestling to me is a badass sport. That's a rough sport, a sport that builds character, and it's an awesome sport. You know, it's one of the oldest sports. And then we got someone sweeping ice, right? But that's gonna be valued more than this. I don't care, right? So again, to me, I really don't care about the Olympics. I don't watch them very much, because the only time I try to watch the Olympics is if I can find the wrestling that's on at like 3 in the morning. So I really don't watch the Olympics that much. I don't care about them that much, and I really don't care if we have a name associated with that. To me, jiu-jitsu is better off just doing its own thing rather than being subjected to the rules. So I'll open up the question to you guys. Do you think that jiu-jitsu should be in the Olympics, or do you think that it should just kind of go about its own way as it is now? What do you think? Put your comments down below. And again, the one that gets the most play, the most comments, the most likes, whatever, that's the one that'll get the t-shirt. I'll send you a message. Weird pre-match rituals. I don't think that I have any, but I'll share the ones that I do have, and maybe you'll think they're weird. I don't know. The first one is I journal the day before, the day of, and the day after the competition. I do this because I like to have the ability to go back and look at these and have kind of a somewhat three-dimensional view of what was going on in my head the day, like that, with the whole surrounding tournament. Like, was I nervous leading up to it? Was I excited? What was going on in my life at the time? How did the competition go? After the competition was over, what did I need to work on? Because it's a time to reflect on the whole thing, and it gives me a nice little chunk of information. And when I write in my journal, it's more like dialogue, so it's almost like I'm talking to myself from another time, which is kind of neat. Competitions represent kind of an extreme experience, right? Again, we get used to them, but it's still kind of an extreme experience. And so you get to go back to that experience and be like, what was going on in my head? What was that like, right? And for me, that's something that's kind of fun. That's one of the reasons I do enjoy journaling, is because I can go back and simply talk to myself from those different times. Sometimes you forget how far you've come, and then you go back and you look at these things and you're like, wow, I can't believe that this was going on and I've overcame these things. Something that I don't do very much anymore that I used to do all the time was wear the same clothing over and over again. I'll give you one great example. In 2011, I went to the Miami Open. I did very well. It was a point at a black belt where I was a fresh black belt, and I was in the bullpen with people that like I admired, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm in this bullpen with these people, and I've got to face against them, and I did very well. Whenever I was doing these other tournaments, I would wear the same sort of clothes to warm up in. So for instance, I had a yellow shirt that Renato had made for our competition team. I had on the same hoodie that I wore that day. I had on the same shoes, same socks, right? Same jogging pants to go over my no-gi gear, or I'd have my gi pants on. Basically, I'd wear the same stuff over and over again. Now, I know that the cotton that the clothing is made out of has no power. There's nothing in it, right, that's so special, but it's about, for me, I think, putting myself back into that mindset, right? Because again, there's a certain feeling associated with being a winner, when you win something, when you do really well. And so when I was getting ready for these other matches, by putting on that yellow shirt, by putting on that same hoodie, by putting on the same shoes, I'm going back into my memory, and I'm basically linking my body up back to what it was like when I was kicking ass and I was feeling really good and I overcame some challenges, and it's like, hey man, remember, we got this. Now, I don't do that much anymore just because I don't need to, right? Because again, I don't need something exterior to remind me that, hey man, there's more than you think there is. I've got that, right? That's in here now. But at the time, it was something where, again, as a young black belt, I was just still sort of trying to like get myself together, you know what I mean? And so I think that's why I did that. What do I do to train on days when I'm demotivated? I don't have a lot of things that I'm really into, okay? Jiu-jitsu is one of them. And jiu-jitsu has represented something in my life that was a non-negotiable, right? There was no like not doing it. Right? Like, some people like ask me, how do you not quit? I'm like, I didn't think that quitting was an option. And again, it's different for everybody. I just know that when I stepped onto the mats in 2003, this place felt right? The mats felt right. It felt so good to be connected to those people. Everything was just good. So for me, like going to a place where I feel good, I'm happy, I'm having a great time, I'll ask people this: have you ever had a time where you were like upset that you went to the gym? I mean, for me, even on my worst days, I'm still happy I went to the gym. I've never had a day where I went to the gym and was like, man, I wish I wouldn't have come today. I'm always like, yeah, man, even though I sucked a little bit, it was like, still got a good workout with my buddies and got to hang out with everybody, and it's good. Can't understand why people are like, you need motivation. You need motivation to do what? To have an awesome time? You need motivation to see your friends? You need motivation to make yourself better, to get an endorphin rush fueled by the rolling afterwards? Like, I know it's tough, but it's like, whatever, man. Now, don't get me wrong, my levels of motivation can go up and down, right? Sometimes I'm very, like I'm getting after it. But then there's some days where I'm not like super charged up, and I just come into the gym and I'm just going through the motions a little bit. I'm just doing my thing, you know, and they all have their own benefits to it. For you asking, what do you need for motivation? I don't know. You gotta find a reason. For me, like not doing jiu-jitsu just wasn't an option. My biggest problem that I have like currently is that on Sundays, I'll plan my week and I'll say, I'm gonna train on this day, I'm gonna rest on this day, I'm gonna train twice on this day. You know, I plan it out a little bit. My biggest problem is not being on the mats, because I'll walk over here and there's just energy, man. Like there's energy that comes from other human beings when they're having a good time, and you just can't help. It's like a little kid, man. You see a bunch of friends in the pool and you wanna jump in, right? And you're like, oh my God, I wanna get in there so bad, but I can't. You know, I have to, but look, save some for later, it'll be okay. It'll be there tomorrow. Just rest. So that's the biggest problem I have. It just becomes who you are. When I dedicate myself to it, it's not an option. I don't get a choice of whether or not I don't want to do it. You just do it. Sometimes you're gonna be charged up, sometimes you're not gonna be charged up. But either way, you do what you're supposed to do because that's just what you want to do. And I want the long-term results of what I've had. So, short and sweet. I'm not good at short and sweet. I'm long-winded. I talk too much. But if I had to break it down and just do a couple like little quick nuggets, I'll keep this video under 30, maybe under a minute. I don't want to say 30 seconds. If you ask me why do I train jiu-jitsu, the community, being connected to people. Very rarely do I get to like have no iPhone anywhere and I can stare someone in the eyes and we can be connected to each other and be 100% engaged in one another. That's very rare now. You can do that. There are people that like from all different walks of life that I would have never encountered otherwise that I've been able to encounter in jiu-jitsu, which has been amazing. And the training itself is just fun. Like it's so deep. And there's just so much stuff you can do, and even as a black belt, I'm still going down different rabbit holes and learning new things. And so the combination of being connected to other human beings on a very deep level and learning and that continual ability to practice new stuff has kept me coming for, you know, over half of my life. I'm a little leaner. I'm about 10 pounds lighter than I was this summer. I don't eat bad, but I eat lots of things that are very calorically dense. I can eat almond butter by the spoonful. Just, it's so good. And I can throw it in smoothies and stuff like that. And I noticed when I do that, I gain a few pounds. What happened was I was watching a video and I saw myself and I was like, man, I kind of look chubby. I was like, I need to slim down a little bit. I went on this diet. It's a new one because I'd done like the low carb, like keto diet type stuff. I could do them for a little bit, but man, I didn't feel very good for like, especially as much training as I do. I don't feel very good when I'm on those like low carb diets. I feel very flat. And at the same time, I don't feel like I have a good amount of energy. I went on a diet that was a little bit higher in carbohydrates, but the carbohydrates were planned accordingly to your workout. So basically, it wasn't just like carbs all throughout the day. It was like, you know, okay, we're working out at this time, so our carbs are gonna revolve pretty much around this workout to make sure that we have the adequate energy. We're doing this, my weight came down, but I also felt really good. Like I wasn't at the usual thing where usually when I'm cutting weight, I'm doing this thing where I'm trying to boost my performance, you know, and push myself, do more cardio, but at the same time, I'm like dropping my body's like resources, and so I'm doing kind of a drop in performance while I'm trying to push myself. It sucks. In this case, the weight loss was very gentle, and at the same time, my carb intake was high, so I felt pretty strong. I'm still kind of playing around with the diet to see how it works with me. If it's something that I really like, I'll share it with you guys in the future. The most memorable moment. When I was younger, I always wanted to chase competitions and medals and things like that, and those are the memories people would probably think that would probably be my most memorable, right? I don't know why, it really never satisfied something. The most memorable moments that I have, the ones where if I close my eyes and I think about the moments that really like elicit a sort of response in me, right? Like if I think about like winning a medal, I don't feel anything. It's like, I won a medal, cool. I beat another person in competition, cool, fine. But when I close my eyes and I think about when different things have happened with people, right? Like when Chad got his black belt, and I remember sitting back on that wall and he was talking, he was saying things that I didn't know that he thought, and how much it meant to him and how strongly he felt. and how much the gym meant to him. And for me, I'm like, that was what I wanted all along. I wanted to make a place where we all felt this connected. That still elicits a response. Last night, we have our TV up here in the gym. We had it going through some of the videos, and that video came up. I had to turn it off. I can't watch it in front of people because it still gets me emotional. There was this one time where one of our, he was a heavyweight, right? And he was on the top of the podium. He won first place at one of our local tournaments. He beat like 4 dudes. He gets off the podium, and I remember he comes up to me and he looks at me dead in the eye and he says, "Man, I've never been a winner at anything before. Thank you." And just as simple and as powerful as that, he's never been a winner at anything before. Thank you. Boom, hits me here. Just another example to share with you. There was a guy that came in who was training with us. He'd been training with us for over a year at this point, and he told me that, you know what, when I came into the gym the day before I came into the gym, I was sitting out on my front porch watching buses go by. And when I was watching the buses, go by, I was just looking at them, and I was thinking, man, I could just jump in front of that bus and it'd all be over. And then I came into the gym, and I remember everybody was so upbeat, everybody was so welcoming, and he said it changed a lot for me. Those kinds of memories, whether it be from the kids that have trained, the women that have trained, the men that have trained, any of that stuff, like any of those responses like that people have had where I've made some sort of impact on them, or the gym itself has made some sort of impact, that's what it's about. And so all those medals that I've won, all the competitions I've won, all the whatever stuff that doesn't, like, I close my eyes, I don't feel anything. I can think about the moment that I was holding some of the medals that I was chasing, and I got them, and I'm looking at them, and I'm just kind of like, cool. But when I think about the moments where I've seen people have these positive changes, those are the ones that are the most powerful and the ones that elicit the strongest response to me personally. And again, I know it's not just one moment, it's a collection of them. Wish I could probably go on for hours because there's been a lot of them over the years, but those are the moments that mean the most to me. So guys, we'll open it up for another t-shirt today. So what is your most memorable moment in jiu-jitsu? What is yours, right? You have mine. Like, again, mine are a collection of memories that I've had. I have so many I could go on for hours talking about it. What are yours? Comment down below the one that gets the most replies, likes, dislikes, whatever. I'll send you a t-shirt as well. Ameri-Do-Te is bullshit. Do I ever passionately whisper in anyone's ear? Well, no, because that'd be kind of awkward. But I do have 2 fun stories for you. One is from my buddy Dave Riley, where I took his back and I was, holding the harness and I was tight. Dave is a very, well-groomed human being, and so he had in his hair care product. It was very like sweet smelling, and I kind of went, sniffed it, I sort of loosened up my grip, and I stopped and said, "Man, your hair smells really good." And Dave, he's in the middle of like fighting on his back, and he kind of stops too. He goes, "Oh yeah, it's this new hair care product I got. It's dope, right?" And we start talking about it, and then there was this like sort of like moment where he's kind of talking to me, and I'm over here kind of talking to him, and we're talking about his hair as I'm sort of like spooning him, looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and we kind of stopped and said, "Let's get back to rolling." Yeah, like we get back to rolling now. And I remember reading some blog article that was like 20 weird things that you could say to someone or whatever, and one of them was come up to him and go, "You smell different awake." In the middle of rolling for like a week or something, I would like get someone, I'd like roll with him, I'd be, and they'd kind of like, "Did you just sniff me?" And I'd say, "Yeah, you smell different awake." Just something stupid and corny that I was doing. So anyway, those are 2 things that maybe went along the lines, but I don't normally whisper in people's ears.